just outside of Birmingham, the Hoover Met Complex in Hoover, Alabama. This is the 9th annual Perfect Game High School Showdown, and this is Perfect Game Weekly, the only show devoted to amateur baseball. My name is Daron Sutton. We've been waiting for this for a year, haven't we? Since everything shut down, we've been waiting for the day we could get in front of this sport again, and this event, in its 9th year, with such a rich tradition of college commits and pro draftees, we are here. And in this show, we're gonna blanket it. What we have on this show, we're excited about it. We're gonna go top to bottom, all different angles of the high school showdown and the Academy's division. A great conversation with one of the key players out of the North from Team Elite, that great academy, and also David Rawnsley, Perfect Game's Vice President of Player Personnel. He'll tell us who stood out the most and recap the 3 championship games on the final day of the high school showdown. But we got behind the scenes, we had fun, it's the passion, it's the families, it's the coaches. Let's turn the sizzle up on the Perfect Game High School Showdown.
Let's go.
What an incredible weekend here in Alabama. 65 teams from all over the country, north, south, east, west, down in Puerto Rico, playing the game we all love. Memories, they'll last a lifetime. These are memory machines events like these for kids who were here this past weekend. Some also looking to use this as a springboard, just like these well-known players who have played in the previous 8 PG High School Showdowns. Important to point out that there is the traditional high school side of the championships and the Academy's division over this weekend. And that Team Elite group, led by Brad Morris, pulled some talented players out of the North, from Michigan specifically, like Nolan Schubart, who a few years ago was a part of that 14U Select Festival. Our own Dani Wexelman, with a conversation with a man who is committed to Michigan.
Always excited to get a chance to catch up with Nolan Schubart, and we are in Hoover, Alabama at the 2021 Perfect Game High School Showdown. Yep. To start, Team Elite, what does the opportunity mean for you and your team to be here?
It's a great opportunity to get down here, especially from being in the north. Kind of cold up there right now. So to get down here, get some at-bats and be on the field is a great opportunity to get ready and fast forward on our season coming up in a couple weeks.
The first time I met you was in 2018.
Yeah.
At not only the showcase, but then the 14U Select Festival. You were the MVP of that game. You were a two-way player at the time.
I was.
That has changed now. Besides the fact that you're not pitching anymore, you committed yourself to the outfield and at the plate. What's changed head to toe about you?
I've become more of a physical player, trying to get as fast as I can possibly. Be more physical and built. At the 14U Select Fest, I was still tall, but I was really skinny. So over the past 2 years, I've tried to gain weight and muscle as much as I can and to stay as healthy as possible. So just keeping care for my body and mentally staying focused the whole time and not letting anything get to my head.
I am always fascinated with how you guys put on weight. What does it take? So tell me about the diet right now and who's helping you gain that weight.
So the diet is honestly to eat as much as I possibly can. So to start the off season, I was probably trying to eat right around 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day to gain weight. So another big factor was, of course, the weight room. So I train at a place in Michigan called 2SP, where Alex Mitty trains, Luke Lito trains. A lot of higher level players train there in the off season. So train there 4 to 5 days a week, and then just eating a lot for weight, which I needed.
I know you're keeping an eye on the big leagues, but your junior year is important.
Oh yeah.
What are your goals for this season?
High school, it's just stay as consistent as possible. Our high school team is looking pretty good, so for high school season is just to win a state championship as a team and get as far as we possibly can. Overall is just have a really good consistent season and just keep on proving myself.
Here at the Showdown, the game that we were able to watch, 3 stolen bases, you told me that's a record for you?
That's a new record for me, yeah. Gaining the speed over off season really helped with that.
And you pride yourself on your speed. How tall are you now?
I'm 6'5", 215.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you also had 3 walks. You had a bases loaded walk. What did you tell me about why that was important for you?
It was just, I was ready to see if any pitch in the zone attack, but I also had to know that at that time period, I think we were only up by 1 or 2 runs. So I needed to stay smart with what I was swinging at and not get too ahead of myself. So there I was just trying to stay inside myself and get a pitch to drive, but unfortunately none of them were close to the zone, so I took the walk and we got the RBI in.
When I see you in a year, what will have changed since then?
Probably a bit more mature, hopefully in a year. But besides that, not much. I would say just trying to keep the same path and trusting the process with everything.
Awesome, dude. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Keep crushing, okay?
For sure.
Always.
Incredible when you look at the rankings, obviously. And again, this is an athlete that could play anywhere on the field if you need him. Standing at 6'5", you can understand why he was such an outstanding basketball player as well. The future is bright. I know they hope he makes it to Michigan. I'm sure the pros will come calling very, very soon. When we come back, a conversation with a man who knows these players better than anybody else. We kiddingly called him the Iron Horse because David Rawnsley, Perfect Game's Vice President of Player Personnel, was the analyst for every single game we streamed. Why wouldn't we bring him on? Glad to have you with us. This is Perfect Game Weekly from the 9th Annual PG High School Showdown.
You can tell right away if it's going to be a good glove or not. Broken in good, so when it breaks in nice, you want to use it for years. And I got the gold on it now. If you're into it mentally, you're getting your pre-pitch routine, defense doesn't slump. It doesn't come and go like offense. If you lock it in mentally, it's going to be there.
Perfect Game Weekly continues. It's time for our Yeti travel team. We're going to spin it. Travel player rankings. When you take a look at the class of 2023 at the High School Showdown, East Cobb represented in Walter Ford. Brady Neal ranked 37th, 5-star national. A couple of 5-star nationals, Stone Russell for IMG. And then, of course, looking on down for Jacob Gomberg. This is a young man for the elite squad. He came here with North Broward Prep. And we've come back inside the ballpark. This is where all the action happened. So much offense, so many dramatics throughout this event. The quad was great, but the ballpark was incredible. And I want to welcome you back to this ballpark, and I want to bring in the man who called 9 games in this event, David Rawnsley. David, you're used to scouting all these players. You got to sit up there. You did a heck of a job as a color analyst. So big picture, how much fun was it to see high school baseball back and to see this competition?
Well, Daron, I think that's really the whole theme of this event. You're seeing high school baseball. We love the travel teams. We love the showcases. We love the individual players. But here at the High School Showdown, we get to see the school colors. You're playing for Spanish Fort. You're playing for Buford. You're playing for your school, your parents, your girlfriend, your alumni. And it's a different ball game. The enthusiasm is different. Plus, we have aluminum bats, which is a little different than I'm used to watching. But it all comes together as a great event, and I've really enjoyed the last 3 days so much.
Championship number 1 was the white championship, and it was Oxford and it was Loganville. Oxford jumped out early, despite the fact their bus was 20 minutes late. What were your thoughts on that game? Who stood out to you?
Well, what stood out to me at Oxford is they started only 2 seniors. They started a couple freshmen, a couple sophomores, a couple juniors, and they all stood out. This is the Oxford Yellow Jackets. We're calling them Baby Bees. And this is a team that we're going to have to watch in the rankings as this group matures. You know, their star today was R.J. Brooks, a freshman, comes in a tie ball game, pitches 3 scoreless innings, steps up in the 7th inning with a line drive sacrifice fly to plate the winning run. So R.J. Brooks, just a freshman, starring for the Oxford Baby Bees.
Okay, so then the next championship had Buford, and it was going toe-to-toe with the Spanish Fort Toros. Buford from Georgia, Spanish Fort from down by Mobile, Alabama. It looked like Buford would run away with it. That didn't happen. It was a fantastic 7-6 game.
Oh no, and then Buford went up 7-1, and they're the 4th ranked team in the country. We think this is going to be a run rule potentially, and Spanish Fort showed their colors, showed their high school enthusiasm, battled back with a 5 spot to bring it up tight. But the surprise of that game, you know, we've all seen Dylan Lesko pitch. We love talking about Dylan Lesko pitch. His teammates were calling him the furnace. He was so hot at the plate, went 3 for 3, sac fly, was the offensive star of the day after being the pitching star during pool play.
So interestingly enough, though he was the offensive star, he earned most valuable pitcher. And immediately upon earning that hardware, our own Dani Wexelman with a conversation with Dylan Lesko.
Buford Wolves are champions of their pool, and I'm with the MVP pitcher, Dylan Lesko. Dylan, in the championship game, though, you go 3 for 3 with 2 RBI. I know the goal at the end of the day is a state championship. How much does this help you get to that point?
I think it helps us a lot because we came down here and played 4 games, and back in the playoffs we're gonna have 3-game series. So it's just good practice because we're gonna have to be able to withstand these series over 2 days, and we played 4 games over 3 days. So just being able to withstand those games and compete in all 4 of them, it really helped us down the road.
Top to bottom, your lineup is stacked. There is not a hole anywhere in it. How valuable is that for your team?
It's pretty valuable because we all can just do our job, and when we're all doing our job, we're hard to stop. And when one person's not doing good, we always have 8 more to back them up, so it helps a lot.
You're up 7-1 late in the game. Jackson Gaspard comes in to close it out with only a 1-run lead. How special is that guy?
It's special. I mean, he's my best friend on and off the field, and we're always doing stuff together. And just seeing him out there pitching and closing the game out, it means a lot to me, just seeing him compete and do it for us.
Awesome. Congratulations, Dylan.
Thank you.
David, let's take Lesko a little bit deeper. Look, I can see what I see, but you have a scout's eye on who he is as a pitcher. This is a 2022. He's already been up to 97. What'd you see out there at the quad? What were you told about his outing as well?
Well, the thing with Dylan Lesko, as we look at him historically in the 25 years of Perfect Game and dating back to all the great pitchers we've seen at Perfect Game, I have trouble coming up with a comp for him. I mean, he's achieved so much. He's pitched so much in Perfect Game events, and that stands out. But you start comparing his stuff, and he's got 3 pitches. He's got the fastball. He's got the changeup, which we've talked about as maybe the best changeup in all of high school baseball, which is kind of unfair when you throw 95, 97. But his breaking ball has gotten so much better. And another performance this weekend without a walk. So we keep talking about all these elements with Dylan Lesko, and I'm not sure I have somebody. Thinking back to all the great pitchers in Perfect Game history, you know, the Garrett Coles and the Scott Kazmirs and the Jose Fernandezes, I don't think there's a comparison that I can make with Dylan Lesko. And remember, he's just a junior right now.
So before we get to the IMG championship, I want to do this. There was a great conversation amongst scouts at Perfect Game and your leaders. And I don't want to comp, okay? Please tell me if he stands in this group at the same age, okay? So Dylan Lesko, Garrett Cole, who people know, Kumar Rocker, who is at Vanderbilt, who certainly is a special guy, maybe 1-1, Scott Kazmir, and now Hunter Green, who we just saw throw 103 in spring training. Dylan Lesko as a 22, all those others as juniors going into their junior high school season. Can he stand toe-to-toe with them?
I think he's standing toe-to-toe right now. I'm not so sure he isn't standing toe in front of toe with them, simply because his track record is so long. He's been on the stage so many times. He's won 8 Most Valuable Pitcher Awards. This was his 8th, and we're going to see him all summer. We're going to see him next fall. His body of work, which is so important in scouting, so important in evaluation right now, his body of work is so much bigger than all those great pitchers and future great pitchers that you've mentioned.
So the IMG Academy went toe-to-toe with Coleman, a great energy program out of Alabama, and IMG dominated. Drew Gray went 5 and struck out 13. His mates were banging it off and over these walls out here. Some takeaways from the IMG championship and their efforts overall.
Well, IMG, we talked about them so much the last 3 days, and it's deserved. This is the #1 team in the country. It's almost a unique team. You know, with the pandemic, they've been able to bring in really even more talent from across the country because of the uncertainties of high school baseball in this day and age. And that's really made players, the top players, the James Woods from Maryland, the Elijah Greens from Florida, but Drew Gray from Illinois, all around, Drake Renato from Texas. They've come to IMG for the surety of playing their senior year. And that's created a unique team, I think, in really high school history. We see it in other sports. We see it in basketball with some of the academies, but this is the first time we've seen it in baseball. And boy, does that talent shine on the field, and it really shined the last 3 days.
Wood homered that way. It was Elijah Green that went that way, right off the wall in the championship game. And out there on the mound, it was the domination of Gray. It was spectacular.
Drew Gray was great today. 13 strikeouts in 5 innings, including 9 straight to end it, 90-93, and he really settled in after allowing a mammoth home run in the first inning. But that's just part of the story of IMG staff, and they featured 4 lefties in 4 games, and all of them were dominant. Jackson Ferris, probably the most dominant. He's thrown 16 innings for IMG this year, 1 hit, which was a slow roller to third, 1 walk, 37 strikeouts. This is a junior from North Carolina, 90-93, great curveball, perfect tunneling of the fastball and the power curveball together. Then we have Mason Albright, a perfect game All-American. He was great for 6 innings, really spotted the fastball well, mixed his pitches, and that's the Mason Albright we've seen all through his career. And then Max Martzoff, a big lefty going to Florida Atlantic, who really showed the best command of all of them. Didn't have the velocity, but it's the type of pitcher who's going to go into college and be successful right away. But that quad of 4 lefties, just dominant for IMG.
All right, so the best players sometimes don't always end up playing here in the championship game. We haven't seen Mike Trout in the playoffs for a long time in the big leagues. So there's a couple of guys that you either saw or heard buzz about that did good things, just didn't make it to the championship. Who?
Well, Grant Taylor, the big right-hander from Florence High School here in Alabama, was very impressive, and it sort of ties in with IMG too, because Grant Taylor went out against IMG and struck out 12 in 6 innings, and it's dominant stuff. He was 90-94 with a power slider, and it's one of those deliveries that you look at it and there's a lot of effort there, but it's also a lot of command, and the IMG hitters couldn't handle it. Grant Taylor really impressed for Florence High School. I'm going to mention Auburn, the Auburn Tigers, because they have 2 middle infielders that are going to be coming into that program next 2 years. In Brody Moss, a senior at Helena High School, who was one of the most dominant hitters in the event. I believe he had 6 or 7 hits. And then Landon Russell, a junior, who's a two-way threat. He was up to 93 on the mound and also had 4 or 5 hits, really handled himself well on both sides of the ball. And finally, a player we've been following closely, Victor Rodriguez from Mount Verde. You know, Victor has a great story. We talked about it on air. Came from the Dominican Republic after he wasn't able to sign as a foreign player. Got stronger, developed his game. He went out, had 2 homers in one game, had 3 hits in another game, and really showed the maturity with the bat and the power that we've seen from him, especially in workouts. He took it into game action this week.
Thank you, man. 9 games. 9 games in the booth. Incredible job. David was great. Dani Wexelman, thank you so much for all you have done. Hey, listen, congratulations to these teams. The 3 champions, but better said, all the teams that came here and took part in this event, their families, their coaches. Remember, all these players lost their seasons last year. It was a wonderful celebration on behalf of Perfect Game of High School Baseball. My name is Daron Sutton. Glad to have you with us each and every week. Dani Wexelman, Nolan Schubart, that guy David, what a great job he did. We'll see you soon. Each and every week, we love it. This is Perfect Game Weekly on Perfect Game TV.